Social feeds until 100 million people are outraged by Starlight for reasons they can't even explain.
After a long wait, The Boys is back with a bang and another new season, and fans have already devoured the first 4 episodes. While we eagerly await the next episodes, we have some time to explore the new faces that have left a mark on this season. Among other characters, we have Sister Sage, a striking personality who has played a key role in the 7, even if she has barely appeared in the 4 episodes so far. Of course, The Boys' storylines are incomplete without Homelander's constant attempts to take over the country and the world at large, and Sister Sage seems to play a huge role in his ambitious schemes. So, without further ado, let's explore her origins and powers in detail and take a look at her story arc. Before we go into this explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
You look great.
Who is Sister Sage? Portrayed by Susan Hayward, Sister Sage was introduced by Prime Video as a character who is already 10,000 steps ahead of you. She's best known for her superhuman intelligence, and her name Sage is also a direct reference to her wisdom. As it turns out, she was injected with Compound V at quite a young age after Vought approached her parents and offered to give her superpowers. She was named Jessica at birth, but she eventually assumed a new identity after gaining her powers. While we know very little about her past, we do know that she joined the Teenage Kix after turning into a soup, but she left the group after barely working with them for a year. Her intellect made her quite the asset, and her character was woven into the Boys' plot after Homelander sets his eyes on her, asking her to join the 7. Terrifying appearance of Sister Sage in The Boys Season 4. Sister Sage was introduced right from the very first episode of Season 4, titled Department of Dirty Tricks, where she was portrayed by Susan Hayward. In his pursuit of Sister Sage, Homelander travels all the way to Detroit to recruit her to join the 7 and arrives at her apartment. Amid a ton of books in a cramped space, Sister Sage heard him out as he talked about the emptiness in his life and sought some advice on how to make things better. Sage suggested that he could just let humans tear themselves apart and then step in as their savior to improve his reputation. Her superhuman intelligence greatly impressed Homelander, and he proposed that she join the 7. While Sage is initially hesitant about joining in, Homelander's pitch about testing her theories worldwide seemed to resonate with her. After considering the offer for a bit, Sage joins the team and assists Homelander in a mission to orchestrate the murder of 3 of his fans. Starlight's supporters were blamed for these deaths, diverting attention away from Homelander's murder trial, where he was found not guilty. As the episode came to an end, Sage stirred up more trouble by disguising herself as one of Starlight's supporters and inciting a riot between Homelander and Starlight's fans. In the second episode, titled Life Among the Septics, Homelander and the others seem to be discussing a movie plot for his son, Ryan. While Ashley and the others seem quite scared of Homelander, Sage doesn't tiptoe around him and tells him that the plot doesn't seem to be solid. She further suggests that the movie would be a failure, and Homelander questioned her further after being a bit taken aback by her boldness. However, Sage remains calm and continues to make her point about portraying Ryan in a different manner, much to everyone's surprise. In fact, Ashley even confronts Sage later on, but Sage refuses to see why everyone has to be so scared of him that they can't even speak their mind. She turns out to be a helpful addition to the team and even consoles the Deep after Ashley rejects his business plan. She later attends a soup event where she runs into Firecracker and promises to put a word in for her to join the 7 on the condition that she helps her defeat the Boys. This episode plays a huge role in highlighting Sage's intelligence, and we get to see why Homelander was so keen on having her on the team. She ends up being a huge source of support, and she later even confronts Frenchie, Kimiko, and MM about them tracking her down. After telling them that she knew they were on her trail, Sage left them at Splinter and Firecracker's mercy, but they failed to kill them. In the third episode, we'll keep the red flag flying here, Sister Sage finally made her first official appearance as a part of the team in front of the media. She also keeps her promise to Firecracker and tells Homelander that it would be a good idea to have her join the team. She made a case for her, emphasized that they needed her to defeat Starlight, and even pointed out that he was being petty. She further pointed out that Homelander pushed her to step into the limelight to get back at her for criticizing him in front of others. As the episode progresses, Homelander appoints Sage as CEO, and her first course of action is to fire the Deep from Prime Analytics after one of the workers leaks confidential information to Starlight. She then accompanies Homelander as he questions one of Vought's workers named Annika, who is revealed to be the real culprit behind the intel. While Sage keeps her cool, Homelander ends up blasting a laser through Annika's head in a fit of rage before they can get more information. This incident frustrates Sage quite a bit, and she even expresses her annoyance to Homelander, who doesn't much care for it. The duo then heads over to meet Victoria Newman to strike a deal, hoping that she'll finally allow Supes to have legal authority over the police. They manage to convince her, and she even refrains from her initial plans to defund the Supes. As this episode comes to an end, Sage observes Homelander as he tries to kill Huey and ends up killing several civilians. She seems to be calm and collected even if things are spiraling out of control, and she even meets the Deep and shares a blooming onion with him. They end up sharing an intimate moment, and the episode finally ends with Sage lobotomizing herself. This finally explains her relaxed nature, as she had made up her mind about lobotomizing herself to temporarily slow down her powers, process everything that was going on. In the most recent episode, titled Wisdom of the Ages, Sister Sage finally launches a new show that seems to be centered around Firecracker. After the premiere, she tells Firecracker all about Starlight's recent abortion, and she expresses her gratitude over finally being included. However, Sage assures her that it's no big deal and they have to stick together as they're the newest members of the Seven. As the episode progresses, Sister Sage watches the show from the tower when Firecracker appears on stage and talks about Starlight's abortion. Soon after, Annie rushes to the stage to beat Firecracker, while Sage observes the scene from a distance with a sense of satisfaction. As it turns out, Sage had orchestrated this entire plan so that Annie would have an outburst on stage and that it would make it to the news and ruin her reputation. After successfully executing her plan, Sage meets the Deep once again and asks him for a favor while they have takeout. She tells him all about her lobotomy processes and explains that these procedures damage her brain cells temporarily and help her negate her powers for brief periods of time. She then asks for his help in performing the lobotomy and tells him that this is her only way of living as a normal human being for some time. Eventually, the Deep agrees to perform the lobotomy on her if she'll sleep with him, and they go through with the procedure. As soon as the lobotomy is performed, Sage appears visibly more carefree, and she leans in to make out with the Deep as the scene comes to an end. Powers and abilities of Sister Sage explained. To state the obvious, Sister Sage has been blessed with superhuman intelligence that surpasses the scope of humans by miles. Her intellect is primarily the reason why Homelander has put in so much effort to recruit her. She's known as the smartest person in the world. In an amusing instance, Sister Sage used her intelligence to deduce that Homelander has an enlarged prostate by observing the cleanliness of his hands, but this is just one example. In other instances, her intelligence helped them stay on top of their opponent's plans and come up with strategies to counter any attacks. As an extension of her intelligence, Sister Sage had an advanced knowledge of psychology, which meant that she had high emotional intelligence and empathy for others. She often extended her empathy to Homelander, such as when she realized that he was growing old and felt concerned about his aging body. Sage's intelligence was a byproduct of her hypercognition, as she could process information at a much faster pace than humans or even other Supes. This meant that she could essentially process every single piece of information that she came across without any information or stimuli being lost in her cognitive process. Her hypercognition allowed her to do multiple tasks at once, and she once displayed this ability when she read a book and also listened to a lecture at an enhanced speed at the same time. Just like all Supes, Sister Sage had the ability to hear at high frequencies and pick up on any auditory cues in her environment. She also had a regenerative healing factor, but it isn't as strong as other Supes and has been classified as moderate. Since Sister Sage can quickly heal and regenerate any body part, she would often perform lobotomies on herself. This allowed her to temporarily rid herself of her intelligence and enjoy activities like regular humans, while her moderate regenerative abilities worked in the background to slowly heal her brain. Besides these powers, Sister Sage had worked on her engineering skills and reached an advanced level of proficiency. She also had a photographic memory, which complemented her intelligence and helped her remember things in a jiffy. What are Sister Sage's weaknesses? Just like all Supes, Sister Sage was affected by loud noises, as she could pick up on high frequencies that were inaudible to humans. Subsequently, she felt an immense amount of pain upon hearing these frequencies, and in some cases, they would also temporarily neutralize her. While she shared this weakness with other Supes, she had other weaknesses that set her apart from them as well. For instance, she was not blessed with supernatural levels of durability that helped her sustain herself even in the face of injuries. While she did have a regenerative healing factor, it worked at a slow pace, and she would end up dying if someone were to strike her down with a quick shot. Sage's intelligence was also a double-edged sword, and it often left her drained and mentally exhausted as she tried to process everything around her at such a speedy rate. In order to stop her intelligence from overwhelming her so often, Sage would often lobotomize herself so that she could function at a lower level of intelligence until her brain cells regenerated and brought her back to her regular functioning levels. This could be quite dangerous to those around her, especially if she chose to leave them in the dark about her temporarily weakened powers while giving them orders or instructions. What hidden motive does Homelander have for wanting her powers? With the new season out, it's no secret that Homelander's thirst for power and dominance has grown more unquenchable over the years. He doesn't care about his murder trials and seems to be focused on creating a fascist America. In this endeavor, Homelander starts feeling like he needs a stronger team to work with, especially after Ashley and the Deep disappoint him. He recruits Sister Sage to join the Seven, and he's convinced that she has the mental capacity to get things done. He also knows that Sage isn't afraid to give her perspective on things, which would be a fresh change after being surrounded by yes men. Sage's originality and intelligence truly make her stand out among other Supes, and she does prove her worth soon after joining the team. She manages to pit the Starlighters against the Homelanders in a grand scheme to prove Homelander's innocence, and she always seems to be a couple steps ahead of everyone else when it comes to planning out future missions. She also makes good use of the media to further her plans, such as when she paints Ryan as a lone wolf to make him more relatable to the audience. While Sage and Homelander's alliance seems to be working so far, they both seem to have some differences and no option but to wait a bit more to see if Homelander's decision to recruit Sage was a wise one. Marvelous verdict! To wrap things up, Sister Sage has made quite an impact in barely a handful of appearances. Her intelligence has made her a huge asset to the Seven, and she seems to be an integral character in Homelander's story arc. While we've barely started this season, Sage shows a lot of promise, and we can't wait to see what's in store for her in these upcoming episodes. That's all for this time, but if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.
Not guilty!